The Morgan estate shimmered in the fading light of a late December afternoon in Boston. The grand brick facade of their Beacon Hill home caught the last amber rays, ivy climbing its walls in tangled elegance, giving the house a stately, almost intimidating presence. Inside, the air smelled of polished wood and aged leather, and the vast living room felt both intimate and cavernous, a testament to generations of carefully curated wealth. At 62, Agatha Morgan carried herself like royalty. Silver hair fell in a flawless wave, framing the sharp angles of her face. Her understated jewelry spoke volumes, expensive without shouting it. Every tilt of her head, every precise movement radiated authority. When she entered a room, silence followed, whether in awe or fear. "Charles, I need to speak with you about something important," she said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. The dark mahogany furniture, Persian rugs, and silver-framed portraits of stern ancestors seemed to lean in. Charles Morgan, 40, rose from his leather armchair with the smooth confidence of someone born to power. A partner at one of Boston's most prestigious law firms, he embodied polished success, tailored navy suits, gleaming shoes, a posture that radiated control. But beneath the charm lurked the subtle cruelty inherited from his mother. His eyes flicked to Agatha, a practiced, almost predatory smile in place. "Of course, Mom. What's on your mind?" His voice was smooth, silk over steel, every word measured. Agatha exhaled deliberately. "It's about New Year's Eve, darling. You know how important that night is for setting the tone of the year, for bringing prosperity to the family." Charles nodded, familiar with her obsession with luck and family tradition. "I don't want your wife in my house that night," she said sharply. "She brings bad luck. I intend to start the year right." The words hung in the air like Boston's winter fog. Charles's lips curved into a private, secretive smile. "Mom's wishes always come first," he murmured, bending to place a perfunctory kiss on her forehead, masking his complicity. Across the city, Victoria Hayes was closing the door on a hard-fought victory in her sleek glass office. At 35, she had built her international trade consultancy from scratch, defying expectations and her husband's family's quiet contempt. Sunlight bounced off the floor-to-ceiling windows as Attorney Mitchell slid a leather-bound folder across the conference table. "Mrs. Morgan, here are the settlement documents. $500,000. The case against your former partner is officially closed in your favor," he said, low but formal. Victoria exhaled slowly, savoring a triumph hard-earned. For 2 years, Richard Sullivan had tried to defraud her, scheming to seize contracts worth millions. Where Charles had offered condescending smiles, Victoria had acted and won. She tucked the papers into her Italian leather bag, fingers brushing the embossed cover with quiet satisfaction. "Thank you, Attorney Mitchell. Please keep this strictly confidential," she said, a faint, knowing smile curving her lips. "Of course. May I ask why?" Victoria's eyes sparkled with strategy. Some truths aren't ready to be revealed. Meanwhile, Charles and Agatha finalized their pact to exclude Victoria from the family's most important night of the year. 8 years of subtle jabs and condescending remarks had worn at Victoria, yet she had maintained her composure. "Victoria tries her best," Charles often said. "But business is no place for a woman alone. I'm glad to guide her." The truth was starkly different. Victoria's firm didn't just survive, it thrived. With her settlement in hand, she now had more resources than ever, and Charles remained blissfully unaware. That evening, as she drove through Boston's glittering streets, Victoria thought of her carefully planned gifts for New Year's Eve: a Rolex Submariner for Charles, a rare Woodford Reserve double-oaked bourbon for Robert, Danielle Vincent jewelry for Paula, and a dazzling diamond necklace for Agatha, the matriarch who had never accepted her. The $50,000 for Agatha was more than a gift. It was a calculated act of grace and a subtle seed for what was to come. Irony cut deep. While Victoria prepared generosity, Agatha and Charles plotted a humiliation she could never anticipate. 2 nights later, Charles stumbled into their luxury Boston apartment past 2 in the morning. City lights spilled through the windows, casting the room in a harsh glow. His suit was rumpled, the scent of whiskey and cigar smoke clinging to him. Victoria looked up from her laptop. "Charles, are you all right?" she asked, calm but alert. He laughed hoarsely, tossing his jacket onto the couch. I'm fine, darling. Perfect. The partners' meeting ran late. We were celebrating. He poured another glass from the bar, amber liquid, catching the city lights. You know, my mother is right about many things. Victoria closed her laptop, a chill creeping up her spine. 8 years of marriage had sharpened her instincts. Tonight felt different. What things? She asked cautiously. He swayed closer, a cruel smile on his lips. Energies, luck, people who bring misfortune into the family. Her pulse quickened, but her voice remained steady. Charles, what are you talking about? Dropping into a chair across from her, he leaned back. Do you want to know? I'll tell you exactly what my mother said. Ice spread through Victoria's veins, but she met his gaze. She said, I don't want your wife in my house on New Year's Eve. She brings bad luck, and I plan to start the year right. The words hit like a hammer. Agatha's disapproval had always shadowed her life, but hearing it voiced aloud by her husband, so casually, so arrogantly, was crushing. And what did you say? She whispered. He laughed. What I always say, darling. My mother's wishes come first. Always. Victoria felt a cold clarity settle over her. This wasn't mere exclusion. It was years of hidden contempt laid bare. So I won't be at the New Year's Eve party. Exactly, Charles said, clapping as if she'd earned a minor accolade. I'll come up with an excuse. Don't worry, I'm creative. Victoria rose slowly, legs trembling but mind razor sharp. Charles, you're drunk. We'll talk tomorrow. No, he insisted. I mean it. Since you arrived, nothing's been the same. Your business, always struggling. Always needing my help. I never asked for your help, she said firmly. Maybe not directly, he countered. But you did. And now this whole mess with your ex-partner? It proves you attract problems. Bitter irony surged. He had no idea she had solved it herself, walking away with $500,000. A quiet instinct whispered this secret could become her most potent weapon. I see, she said calmly. Charles blinked, momentarily thrown by her composure. That's all? You understand. Yes, Charles. Perfectly. She picked up her laptop and retreated to the bedroom. Good night. Later, sitting at the edge of her bed, Victoria stared at the closet. Inside, her carefully wrapped gifts gleamed like promises. A Rolex Submariner for Charles, Danielle Vincent jewelry for Paula, a rare Woodford Reserve bourbon for Robert, and the crown jewel, a diamond necklace for Agatha. $50,000 for a woman who had mocked her, schemed to keep her out of the family's most important night, and wielded influence like a weapon. Yet as Victoria gazed at the stones, defeat melted away, replaced by intoxicating clarity. That night, while Charles snored beside her, Victoria lay awake, mind racing. For the first time in 8 years, the Morgan family was no longer a labyrinth of subtle jabs and coded insults. She saw every slight, every relationship with clarity, and knew exactly how to turn their schemes against them. Agatha's so-called bad luck was coming, but not the way anyone expected. The next morning, Charles awoke with a pounding headache, whiskey and cigar smoke clinging like a fog. Victoria moved quietly through the kitchen, brewing coffee, the rich aroma curling through the apartment like a promise of calm. She pressed a gentle kiss to his cheek, her smile serene and unreadable. How was your meeting yesterday? She asked, placing a steaming cup before him. Charles rubbed his temples, trying to piece together the blur of the night. Productive, though I don't remember getting home so late. You were emotional, Victoria said lightly, betraying nothing. Sorry if I said something stupid. You know how I get when I drink too much. Her smile remained polite, but her eyes missed nothing. The way he fumbled with his newspaper, the faint haze of guilt in his voice, the arrogance behind his charm. Don't worry. You didn't say anything bad, she reassured him. Over breakfast, a new clarity settled over her, painful yet liberating. Every word, every gesture revealed its true meaning. Charm masking entitlement, affection hiding calculation. Charles, I need to tell you something, she said, wiping her hands on her apron. I got an urgent call from a client in New York. They need me for a few days. He looked up, brow furrowed. What kind of issue? Customs complications, she replied lightly. You know how tricky this season gets. I leave tomorrow and won't be back until after New Year's." For a moment, he absorbed the news. A flicker of relief passed over his face. "What a shame, darling. Just in time for Mom's party." "I know. I'm sorry to miss it," she said, watching him carefully. "But clients come first." "Of course. Business is business," he said, folding the newspaper with ease. Relief was clear. He wouldn't have to invent an excuse for her absence. "Mom will understand. She's always admired your dedication." Victoria forced a polite smile, swallowing the bitter taste of irony. "I'm glad she does. I'd hate for her to think poorly of me." Once Charles left for the office, Victoria moved with deliberate precision. Her first call went to her sister, Esther Hayes, a skilled family law attorney. "Esther, I need your help with something urgent and confidential," she said, voice clipped but controlled. "Of course. What's going on?" "I want the divorce papers ready. Everything prepared for signature, but strictly confidential until I give the signal." A brief pause. "Victoria, what did Charles do?" "I'll explain later. For now, just get the paperwork ready. And Esther, I want a clean break. No property, no alimony. I just want my freedom." "You're entitled to assets," Esther said, concern threading her words. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I can support myself." With that settled, Victoria retrieved her $500,000 settlement from the safe, a financial cushion guaranteeing independence. Then, in a move even she surprised herself with, she booked the presidential suite at the Newbury Boston for New Year's Eve. If she spent the night alone, it would be in a style befitting her newfound power, luxury and control intertwined. The rest of the day passed in meticulous preparation. She ensured her company ran smoothly in her absence, transferred funds into personal accounts, and rehearsed every detail of December 31st. That evening, Charles returned to find her packing. "Leaving early tomorrow?" he asked, loosening his tie, eyes sweeping the neatly organized suitcase. "Yes. Flight's at 8 a.m., Victoria said, folding a striking red dress, the one meant for Agatha's party, now destined for a far different purpose. "We'll miss you at the party," he said, hollow and unconcerned. "I'm sure you'll have a wonderful time without me," she replied, locking eyes with him. "Charles, can I ask a favor?" "Of course. If your mother asks about me, tell her I was so sorry not to be there. I really wanted to celebrate with the family." He nodded, oblivious to the irony. "She'll understand." That night, Victoria lay awake beside him for the last time, listening to the shallow rise and fall of his chest. 8 years of marriage, 8 years trying to please a family that would never accept her, had ended. Now she had control, the resources, the plan, and most importantly, the truth. The next morning, Charles kissed her casually goodbye, unaware he was saying farewell to the woman he had long underestimated. Victoria carried her luggage to the car, but instead of the airport, she turned toward downtown Boston. In the passenger seat rested the carefully packed gifts for the Morgan family, including Agatha's diamond necklace. Their purpose had changed. Her revenge would be elegant, devastating, and unforgettable. That night, the Morgan estate gleamed in full splendor. Golden fairy lights draped the manicured gardens, and the soft strains of a live jazz band floated through halls adorned with lavish floral arrangements. It was December 31st, and Agatha had gathered her family for her grand celebration. Charles moved among the guests with practiced ease, champagne flute in hand, confident Victoria's absence meant he had solved the family problem. "Where's Victoria?" Paula Morgan asked, cordial but curious. "Work?" Charles replied theatrically. An important client in New York needed her urgently. She was heartbroken to miss Mom's party. Robert shook his head. "A shame. She always brings the best gifts." Agatha, radiant in an emerald green silk gown and glittering diamonds, approached with queenly poise. "My poor daughter-in-law must be suffering, not being here with us tonight," she said, voice dripping with practiced sympathy. The family nodded politely. As midnight approached, Charles's phone buzzed. Smiling smugly, he announced, "It's Victoria. I bet she wants to wish everyone a happy new year." "Answer it, son," Agatha urged, adjusting her hair. "So we can all speak with her." Charles accepted the video call. Victoria's face filled the screen, glowing, her hair cascading in perfect waves, makeup flawless, red dress striking against the luxurious but unfamiliar backdrop. "Look who's here. Everyone wants to talk to you," Charles said theatrically. Victoria's smile was calm, unreadable, but a quiet fire burned in her eyes. "What a joy to see you all together." "We've missed you, dear," Agatha chimed in, playing her part flawlessly. "The party isn't the same without you." "How kind of you, Agatha." "I miss you all too," Victoria replied smoothly, her tone carrying a subtle edge no one could yet place. "In fact, I called because I wanted to share something special." The family leaned closer, curiosity piqued. Victoria slipped from the frame for a moment and returned holding several elegantly wrapped boxes. "Tonight, I was supposed to be there with you, celebrating and handing out the gifts I chose with such care," she said, lifting one of the boxes toward the camera. "I spent weeks thinking about what would bring each of you joy." Paula exhaled softly. "Victoria, you've always been so thoughtful. It's a shame you couldn't be here in person." "Yes, a real shame." Victoria agreed, tone deliberate, hinting at power, precision, inevitability. She opened the first box, revealing a gold Rolex Submariner. "This one's for Charles, just like he always wanted." Charles's eyes widened in genuine surprise. "You didn't have to." Victoria lifted another box. "And this is for Robert, a bottle of Woodford Reserve Double Oaked." Robert let out a low whistle. "You remember everything." And for Paula, Victoria continued, opening another box, a delicate set of earrings and a necklace by Danielle Vincent. "I know how much you admire her work." Paula's hand flew to her heart. "They're exquisite. You always know just what to choose." The family murmured, impressed, unaware of the currents beneath Victoria's generosity. She wasn't finished. "And of course," she said, lifting the largest, most elegant box, "I saved the best for last, for my dear mother-in-law." Agatha leaned closer to the screen, eyes gleaming, anticipation palpable. Victoria Hayes moved with deliberate grace across the polished floors of the Morgan estate, each step catching the light of the glittering chandeliers. The room buzzed with the soft murmur of Boston's elite, their champagne flutes glinting like scattered stars. Every corner of the Beacon Hill mansion spoke of wealth, tradition, and decades of simmering power struggles. In her hands, Victoria held a small Cartier box, the weight of anticipation pressing against her chest. She paused, letting the moment stretch before lifting the lid. Inside lay a breathtaking diamond necklace, each stone catching the chandelier's glow in a dazzling cascade. "Oh my God," Agatha gasped, clutching her chest, voice trembling. "Victoria, it's absolutely magnificent." $50,000, Victoria said casually, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. "Straight from Cartier. I thought it would be perfect for such a special matriarch." Tears welled in Agatha's eyes. "My dear daughter-in-law, I can't tell you how much this means. When you return, I'll make sure to receive it in person." A heavy, electric silence fell over the room. Then Victoria's smile shifted, subtle at first, hardening into something sharp and merciless. Her low, deliberate laughter cut through the murmurs, chilling the air. "But that would be a shame, Agatha," she said, voice slicing through the tension, "because I'm never coming back to this house, or this life of lies with your family." Shock rippled immediately. Charles froze mid-sip, phone trembling in hand. Robert's glass lingered midair. Paula clamped a hand over her mouth. Agatha's face drained of color, eyes wide. "Victoria, what are you saying?" Charles stammered, panic creeping through his practiced mask. Victoria held the necklace so the diamonds caught the light, sparkling like cold flames. "I've learned a few things in the past days, Charles, things a wife should never hear about her husband and his family." Agatha tried to intervene, voice quivering. "Darling, you must be exhausted from your trip. This isn't the time." "Oh, it's the perfect time," Victoria interrupted, eyes blazing. "Especially for you, dear mother-in-law. After all, you wouldn't want someone around who brings bad luck, would you?" Agatha's hands trembled as the guests murmured uneasily. How did you find out?" Charles's voice cracked. Victoria laughed again, sharp and resonant. "You told me yourself, Charles, 2 nights ago when you stumbled home drunk." Color drained from Charles's face as fragments of that night rushed back. Paula and Robert stared, frozen. Agatha seemed on the verge of collapse. "You remember now, don't you?" Victoria pressed. "You came home reeking of whiskey and recounted, word for word, what your mother said. I don't want your wife in my house on New Year's Eve. She brings bad luck." Agatha whispered desperately, I didn't." "And the best part," Victoria continued, relentless, "was your response, Charles. My mother's wishes always come first." "Always, right?" A low murmur swept through the room as guests discreetly pulled out phones, recording the unraveling scene. "You're exaggerating, Victoria," Charles tried once more, voice trembling. "I was drunk. I didn't mean." "Oh, but drunken words are sober truths, aren't they?" Victoria's eyes sparkled with cold certainty. She held the necklace aloft, diamonds reflecting a kaleidoscope of light. "And since we're being honest, let me share a few truths of my own. First, the divorce papers were finalized just 2 hours ago with my sister Esther. Our marriage is over." Gasps filled the room. Paula cried out. Robert's glass hit the floor. Charles went ashen. Agatha sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. "Second," Victoria continued triumphant, "I've never depended on a single cent of yours. My company is thriving. This week alone, I received $500,000 in compensation, earned entirely on my own, without your so-called protection." She held up the document, glinting under the chandeliers. Humiliation was complete. Every guest knew the truth. Charles had lied, conspired with his mother, and betrayed his wife. "Victoria, please, can we speak privately?" Agatha pleaded. "No, Agatha. The time for private conversations is over," Victoria said, letting the necklace dangle before the cameras now capturing the scene. $50,000 wasted on someone who thinks I'm cursed. Ironic, isn't it? With deliberate precision, she let the necklace slip from her fingers. The sharp clatter echoed through the grand room, reverberating with every whispered betrayal within those walls. "Happy New Year, Morgan family," Victoria said, voice cold and unwavering. "May 2026 bring you exactly what you deserve." Silence reigned. Guests stared in stunned disbelief. Charles remained frozen, phone in hand. Agatha slumped, every ounce of control stripped away. Across the city, in the presidential suite of the Newbury Boston, Victoria raised a glass of Dom Perignon toward the night sky. Fireworks painted the harbor in dazzling streaks, reflecting the freedom and triumph she felt inside. She gazed at her reflection in the glass, a genuine smile breaking across her face for the first time in years. "Happy New Year," she whispered, savoring independence, vindication, and the knowledge that her luck had never been better. The past was behind her, and the future was hers to command. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.